Heartwarming story. 8-year-old's incredible plea exposed as he tries to save his dying mother's life. Tommy McAllister perched on a stool at the counter of his mother's diner, his once bright blue eyes now dulled by worry. The smell of freshly baked cherry pies filled the air, a bittersweet reminder of all the warm summer mornings spent with his mom, laughter echoing off the walls. But now, the vibrant colors of their life seemed washed out. His mother, his rock, lay frail and pale in their small apartment, and the clock ticked ominously as each second slipped away. With each passing day, the burden grew heavier on his tiny shoulders. Tommy's mother had worked so hard, her hands calloused from the long shifts at the diner, but now those hands trembled. It wasn't fair. He swallowed hard, feeling a tightness in his chest. In his innocent world, heroes were supposed to be invincible. One evening, a surge of inspiration poured out of him as he sat before their old camera. With trembling hands, he began recording. "Hi, I'm Tommy," he choked out, his small voice cracking. "My mom is really sick. We need help." Tears glistened at the corners of his eyes as he recounted their story. He shared how hard his mom worked just so he could have a better life, and how now, life was slipping away from them both. He poured out all his love and desperation into that short video, holding nothing back. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he uploaded the video, Tommy felt a flicker of hope. Little did he know, it triggered a wave across the town and beyond. It wasn't just neighbors who felt moved, complete strangers shared his plea, igniting conversations about community support and the injustices faced by families like his. To some, he was a beacon of hope, to others, a mere child asking for pity. Conflicting opinions swirled like autumn leaves in the wind, and suddenly, Tommy was at the center of a debate that was much larger than himself. Days turned into a whirlwind of emotions, all leading to a town hall meeting that Tommy attended, heart pounding in his chest. As he stood in front of the crowd, he locked eyes with a wealthy businessman. There was a moment of indifference in the man's gaze that pierced through Tommy like a knife. "This isn't just about my mom," Tommy thought, sadness clawing at him. "It's about everyone who is struggling." Shaking off his fear, Tommy realized he had to do more. Moments later, he found himself forming alliances. Neighbors banded together in rallies, bake sales bustled at the diner, transforming it into a hub of action fueled by love and determination. Tommy's plea became a movement, shedding light on the struggles they all faced, but just as hope reignited, news of a shocking twist struck like a thunderclap. With everything they built on the line, would their efforts be enough to help Tommy's mother? As whispers of uncertainty spread, Tommy stood stronger than ever, the weight of the world on his shoulders but his spirit unbroken, united with those who believed in fighting for each other, leaving everyone anxious to see if love could truly conquer the shadows looming above them. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the diner's windows. The once bustling place was quieter now, filled with the murmurs of patrons sharing a cup of coffee and glances filled with concern. Tommy stood behind the counter, wiping down surfaces, but his mind was elsewhere. He thought of his mother lying in bed, the sound of her labored breathing echoing in his ears. He felt trapped in his small body, shackled by fear and sadness. As the scent of cherry pie wafted through the air, a soft knock interrupted his thoughts. It was Mrs. Jenkins, the elderly lady from next door, her kind smile tugging at his heart. She brought 2 plates of pies, each slice a labor of love. "Thought you might need these, Tommy. Your mom would want you to eat," she said, her voice gentle yet firm. "Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins," he replied automatically, feeling the warmth from her kindness wash over him. He wanted to curl up, maybe eat a slice or two, but he had to keep moving. Outside, a crowd gathered in anticipation of the fundraisers they planned for his mom. Tommy peered out the window, watching friends and neighbors setting up signs and tables. Each person's effort was like a bandage on his wounded heart. They were fighting for his family, and he had never felt so grateful. Yet, a nagging thought flickered: what if it wasn't enough? That night, after the diner closed, Tommy climbed into bed, his mind spinning with all the faces he saw earlier. The town's generosity was overwhelming as they organized a charity event, a carnival filled with games and music. But would it bring in enough money? Would it be enough to pay for his mom's treatment? He tossed and turned, finally falling asleep, only to be jolted awake by the sound of his mother's soft cough from the adjacent room. He tiptoed to her side. Even in slumber, she looked fragile, the blankets barely covering her dwindling frame. As he placed a cool cloth on her forehead, tears slipped silently down his cheeks. "Please, Mom, just hold on a little longer," he whispered, desperately wishing for a miracle. Days crept by, and the carnival arrived, buzzing with activity and laughter. Tommy stood nervously at the entrance, his heart thumping as he watched families pour in. He spotted familiar faces: Mrs. Jenkins, the high school wrestling team, even Mr. Williams, the wealthy businessman who looked at him with indifference before. Each person carried an energy of hope, yet Tommy's stomach twisted with anxiety. The games were vivid and colorful, laughter echoing, but he felt like a ghost among them. Would they really raise enough money? Would it make any difference? Each clattering ring toss and cheerful cheer felt both exhilarating and suffocating. As the day carried on, a local news team arrived, drawn by curiosity and kindness. They set up cameras and asked Tommy if he'd speak again, sharing his journey. He felt the pressure rise within him. This was at the moment he had to channel all his emotions into words, to reach out, to make one final desperate plea for his mother. With his heart pounding, he stood in front of the cameras, facing the crowd that had gathered around him. Taking a deep breath, he settled his nerves. But before he could say a word, a commotion drew his attention: a loud shout, an unexpected turn. Staring wide-eyed, Tommy realized something shocking was unfolding right before him, leaving him breathless. What was happening that could change everything? Tommy's heart raced as he turned toward the source of the commotion. A small group of children dashed past him, giggling and pointing, their faces lit with excitement. But it wasn't just playful noise. There was a chaos to it, a frantic energy that set him on edge. Then he saw it: a large balloon, bright red, had slipped from the hands of a boy who struggled to chase it. The balloon floated higher and higher, almost as if it were dancing with the clouds, drawing every eye in the carnival. Tommy's breath hitched. The balloon seemed like a sweet symbol of hope, hovering above all the worries he carried, and then, just as suddenly, he noticed a figure running after the balloon: a woman in her 30s with a determined look on her face. It was Clara, his mother's best friend, who had chased down her own dream to become a nurse. "You got this!" she shouted amid the laughter. Her determination caught Tommy off guard. He shook his head to clear the thoughts swirling inside him, but the real surprise came when the balloon drifted low enough for Clara to grab hold, triumph sparking in her eyes as she returned it to the eager boy. Suddenly, the crowd erupted in applause. Tommy felt a swell of warmth within him. It crossed his mind: wasn't this just like the carnival itself? A chance for joy amidst sadness, for light among shadows. With the cheers echoing in his ears, Tommy's focus shifted back to the cameras. He was supposed to talk, to share his story, but the words felt jumbled in his mind. Perhaps he had forgotten what he truly wanted to say. It wasn't just about raising money, it was about connection. He felt a glimmer of hope blossom in his chest. If his town could rally around a simple balloon, maybe they could rally around his mother too. Taking a breath, he stepped toward the cameras, the crowd's energy fueling his resolve. "Thank you, everyone, for coming today," he began, his voice shaky but growing stronger. "My mom is everything to me. She fought hard for me, and I just want her to be okay. I believe that together, we can help her." The crowd fell silent, their eyes fixed on him. Tommy locked gazes with familiar faces: Mrs. Jenkins, the high school wrestling team, Mr. Williams, each radiating kindness and determination. He felt something shift within him. And we can't do this alone, he added, his small voice carrying a weight he didn't fully understand. So let us keep doing this together. Let us save my mom. A cheer erupted from the crowd, louder than any before. Hearts ignited with compassion, hands clapped, and feet stomped like a chorus of support. Tommy soaked it all in the warmth, the love, the encouragement. In that moment, he realized it wasn't just about money, it was about community. As the excitement surged, I caught sight of the balloon again, floating in the distance. He felt a new sense of urgency mix with his hope. But wait. He thought suddenly. What happens if just then, a young girl stepped forward, clutching a clipboard? Tommy, she called out, breathless, we just got a surprise donation. It's huge. His heart skipped as anticipation washed over him. What could it mean? Would it be enough? Did they finally have a chance? Tell me. Tommy shouted back, his voice filled with hope and fear. He had to know what this meant for his mother. The girl smiled, and for the first time, he saw a glimmer of something. Was it the miracle he had been praying for? The atmosphere buzzed, and Tommy braced himself for a revelation that could change everything. Would this twist in fate lead them to the answer they desperately needed? As the girl stepped forward, Tommy could hardly concentrate on anything except the gleam in her eyes. Tommy, it's $1,000 donation. From Mr. Hargrove. Her excitement was infectious, yet it sparked a whirlwind of emotions within him. Mr. Hargrove. The elderly gentleman who lived just down the street, always ready to lend a hand or share a story. Tommy's heart swelled, he couldn't believe that someone from his own neighborhood had stepped up in such a big way. Thank you. He hollered, beaming with gratitude. The crowd seemed to buzz with this new wave of enthusiasm. He could hear voices chiming in, echoing how incredible it was that Mr. Hargrove had come through. But just as the applause crescendoed, a nagging thought crept into Tommy's mind. Was $1,000 enough? The medical bills loomed large, and the weight of uncertainty started to inch back into his heart. Is that it? He whispered, half to himself. He knew they needed more if they wanted to keep fighting. But before he could spiral deeper into worry, Clara appeared beside him, a comforting presence. Tommy, look at the crowd, she said, nodding towards the sea of faces. They're here for you, for your mom. This is just the beginning. It's not just Mr. Hargrove, this whole town supports you. Tommy glanced again. The faces registering concern and excitement intertwined, each story behind them lending additional strength. The wrestling team had rallied together, their hands clasped, ready to do whatever it took. Mrs. Jenkins cheered with tears in her eyes, her support unwavering. The love pooled around him, thick and warm. Together he murmured, feeling the phrase wrap around him like a warm blanket. The community was alive, and cans rattled in the donation box where he had kicked off the campaign. Each coin felt like a heartbeat, one beating for his mother, for everything they were fighting for. Let us do this. Tommy said, suddenly filled with a vibrant energy again. His pulse raced, matching the rhythm of hope weaving through the crowd. We need to make more noise. Let us spread the word. I want everyone in town to know what we're doing. The crowd responded with fervor, chants and cheers rising as they shared, exclaimed, and committed to push this together. Each pledge made felt like another lifted balloon, another symbol of hope reaching for the sky, but when the cheers began to fade, Tommy's heart tugged once more at something deeper. The smile slipped from his face momentarily as he thought, what if this isn't enough? His chest tightened at the thought of coming up short. Clara must have sensed his unease. It's okay to feel scared, Tommy. It tells us we care. Just remember, together we can overcome anything. His gaze landed back on the still glowing red balloon, now partially tethered to the carnival atmosphere, yet drifting above, somehow managing to stay lifted. There was something poignant about it, tugging at him. We need to find a way to keep that balloon aloft like my mom's hope. And like our own hope too. Just then, a raucous cheer stole his thoughts once again. The crowd had begun to form teams, each organizing various fundraising ideas, bake sales, car washes, and a bake-off showdown. Excitement crackled through the air, but as Tommy stood there, the mounting decisions rang in his ears. He realized that while this was all energizing, with every yes came a new challenge. But just before he could speak again, a sound caught his attention, a soft gasp followed by sharp whispers from the crowd. Their eyes collectively turned to something beyond the carnival's edge, where a figure shadowed under flickering lights approached. Who is that? Tommy wondered, his heart racing anew. With every passing second, curiosity brewed into anxiety. Could this stranger have answers, resources, or something unexpected? As Tommy squinted into the fading sunlight, he felt the fervor of the day turning into potential uncertainty. What awaited them? What impact could this new presence bring? Is this another chance? He whispered to himself as he moved closer, uncertainty bubbling up inside him once more. As the figure stepped closer, Tommy's breath hung heavy in the air. The crowd fell quiet, tension saturating the moment. Who was this newcomer? A wave of hesitation rippled through the audience, hearts collectively thrumming, as the silhouette sharpened into view. It was a woman, middle-aged, with kind, light blue eyes that sparkled against the backdrop of fading light. Her curly hair danced lightly in the wind, and her hands carried several colorful envelopes, stacked deep with determination. The crowd began to murmur, their curiosity shifting towards cautious hope. Is that? Clara started, nudging Tommy gently. But he couldn't finish her thought. All he could do was watch. The woman approached the makeshift podium and cleared her throat, her voice steady but warm. Hello everyone. I'm Lisa. I'm here to help Tommy and his mom. Tommy's heart leaped, a spark of possibility igniting inside him. Help? Did they really have someone ready to jump in and offer their support? I heard about the community rallying around your cause, Lisa continued. And I know how much your mother means to you. I have a few ideas that could turn this small drive into something remarkable. The murmurs intensified, excitement blossoming like wildflowers in spring. What do you have in mind? Someone shouted from the back. Lisa smiled. Well, we could organize a charity auction. People always love bidding on unique items, and I know some local businesses that would gladly donate. We could also hold a concert in the park. Music rallies everyone together. Tommy's mind raced. The buzz of enthusiasm from the crowd felt electrifying. Ideas began to bubble up inside him too. A concert. An auction. It was the spark they needed to push forward. But he hesitated, sadness creeping back in. Will it be enough? How will we cover everything? He felt Clara squeeze his hand tight. Baby steps, Tommy, she whispered. Lisa's gaze softened, her voice calming. Every little bit counts, Tommy. And with your spirit and this community at your back, we can do anything. Together, we'll rally more support. The words washed over him like a soothing balm. He felt lighter, the fear receding just a bit. Okay, he said, voice strong and steady, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Let us do it. As the crowd erupted with renewed energy, Tommy found himself scanning their faces. Each person was ready to join this cause, hands raised in excitement, voices united with purpose. The possibilities felt endless. And as if to emphasize this moment of unity, someone shouted, how about a community dinner? Everyone can bring a dish. We'll share, and donations can go towards Tommy's mom. The idea spread through the crowd like wildfire, laughter and joy spiraling higher. Several voices pitched in, throwing out more ideas, and suddenly he felt as though they were unstoppable. But even in a wave of hope, Tommy's heart clenched painfully. What if this all falls through? He felt the doubt clawing back, ready to grip him once more. Just then, he caught sight of Lisa, her steady gaze steadying him. Tommy, she said with a kind smile, you have something incredibly special. A community that loves you. Let those doubts go. You've already shown them what it means to fight. Isn't that what matters most? For a moment, time stood still as she spoke. He thought about his mother, about her warmth and laughter, and how he couldn't afford to look back. With every heartbeat, he felt time slipping by, urging him to hold on to this chance, but even as the energy crescendoed around him, a flicker of insecurity dimmed that moment. He glanced back at the balloon drifting higher, seemingly invincible, then back at the crowd pulsing with life, and asked himself what if not every balloon could soar. He stepped closer to the front, adrenaline rushing anew. All right everyone. We have so much ahead of us. But who's ready to pull together and help out? As the cheers soared again, a hint of uncertainty still lingered. What challenges were waiting around the corner? Would this new push be enough? Tommy returned his gaze to the shadows. Gathering at the carnival's edge. More figures. Were people drifting closer? Was it just the wind, or were they a sign of something greater? Who else is out there? He wondered, a new wave of anticipation crashing in his chest. What else could this day bring? The energy of the crowd surrounding Tommy pulsed like a heartbeat, alive with fire and hope. Lisa was at the helm, calling for volunteer sign-ups as people rushed forward to help. It was beautiful to see everyone joining forces, but amidst that whirlpool of excitement, Tommy felt remnants of doubt coiling in his chest. He looked up to see Clara beaming at him, a sweet smile lighting her face. You see? You're not alone in this. She said, her voice bubbling with encouragement. But the feeling of uncertainty tangled with the joyful noise around him, reminding him of the urgent time they had. I should start thinking of ways to make this work, right? He muttered, almost to himself. Absolutely. Clara chimed in, bustling beside him. Let's think of a catchy name for the events. Something fun. Tommy nodded, but his gaze drifted again to the shadows at the carnival's edge, where figures loomed. They seemed to flicker in and out of sight. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something or someone was watching. He clenched his fists, willing the doubt to fade. Hey, Lisa. He called, feeling a rush of boldness. Can we have some kind of theme for our auction? Lisa turned, her eager smile inviting him in. Of course. Themes can really get people excited. What do you think? Maybe something family-friendly, or seasonal. Tommy's eyes narrowed as he thought. What about a celebration of community? We can ask everyone to contribute items that mean something personal to them. It creates a connection. Lisa's face lit up. That's brilliant. Imagine the stories attached to each item. And it will show how truly intertwined we are as a community. The crowd murmured in agreement, excitement bubbling anew. Tommy felt the cracks in his heart start to fill with warmth. But just then, a loud thud from the carnival's edge cut through the revelry. Everyone's heads turned, and the buzz turned to whispers. Tommy's stomach dropped as he saw one of the figures stagger into the light, a tall man with sandy hair and a rugged jacket. He looked disheveled, his eyes darting around as if seeking something. That guy looks out of place, someone murmured. Tommy's heart raced. Who was he, and what did he want? The man opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. A mixed wave of concern and curiosity washed through the crowd. Is everything all right? Lisa stepped forward, her voice clear, inviting the man to speak. Suddenly, the crowd split open, a path forming toward him. Tommy's heart hammered in his chest. There was something unsettling about the way he seemed to sway, his hands trembling slightly. I heard about the plan, the man stammered, finally finding his voice. I want to help. But I need to talk to Tommy. Gasps fluttered through the crowd like startled birds. Tommy felt a chill at the back of his neck. What could this stranger possibly want from him? The looming shadows beside the figure shifted, and Tommy sensed their unease. Me? He asked, incredulous. Why do you want to talk to me? The man took a deep breath. I have information. About your mom. Something that could change everything. A heavy silence enveloped them. Tommy's heart raced, hope wrestling with fear, and he felt Clara grip his arm tightly. Could this be the breakthrough he had hoped for, or had fate just unleashed another challenge? As the crowd leaned in, anticipation crackling in the air, Tommy's mind spun with possibilities. What awaited him on this precarious edge of truth? He glanced back at Lisa, whose expression mirrored his own uncertainty, and took a step toward the man. Every breath felt monumental. Whatever was coming next could turn their world upside down, but he knew he had to face it head-on. After all, it was his family that mattered most. What was this sacrifice he would have to make to save her? What was he willing to risk for the truth? Tommy's heart thundered in his chest, every thump a reminder of the stakes. He took a cautious step closer to the man, scanning his face for clues. The rugged features looked worn, not just from a hard life, but from carrying burdens far too heavy for one person. What do you know about her? Tommy asked, his voice low but filled with urgency. The crowd felt like a restless ocean around them, each person holding their breath, waiting. The man looked around, his eyes wide with desperation. We can't talk here. Not with so many ears. He glanced at the shadows, then back to Tommy, a look of pleading in his eyes. Please. Follow me. Clara's grip on Tommy's arm tightened. Tommy, be careful. She urged softly, concern flooding her voice. Yet, the way the man spoke pulled at Tommy's instincts. There was something familiar in the despair there, an echo that resonated deep within him. I can't leave everyone, Tommy stammered. He felt the swirling pot of emotions, the desire to know, to protect, and to stay with the people who had rallied behind him. What if I forget about them? The man shook his head. This is bigger than just a festival. It concerns your family. I swear, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. With a rush of adrenaline and trepidation, Tommy nodded. Okay. Let us talk. As he turned to Clara, who looked ready to protest, he saw the uncertainty flicker in her eyes. The moment of trust between them, rooted in their shared struggles, their joint commitment to the community, felt heavy. Just stay close, he whispered. They followed the stranger away from the crowd, walking past the whirring rides and laughter that now faded into a dull murmur. The shadowed area of the carnival felt different, darker, charged with something unnameable. Soon, they reached an isolated corner, away from prying eyes. The man turned, lowering his voice. Your mom, she didn't just disappear. There's a reason why these events are happening now, and it's tied to the auction. What do you mean? Tommy felt a chill run down his back, every fiber of his being alert. There's something you don't know, the man said, leaning forward earnestly. Your mother was involved with people, the good and the bad. She was working on something huge, and it involves you. He paused, gauging Tommy's reaction. I've seen it firsthand. There are decisions to be made. Choices that could change everything. She needs you, Tommy. You're her only hope. Confusion clouded Tommy's thoughts. He felt like a puppet with tangled strings, all the emotions pulling him in different directions. But how can I help her? What do I need to do? Keep your eyes open. Trust the right people and don't let the wrong ones get close. The man stepped back, his gaze darting over Tommy's shoulder as if sensing danger. You have to promise me that. Wait. Tommy called out as the man turned to leave, instinctively feeling the weight of the dangerous cliff they were teetering on. What do you mean by the wrong ones? With one last, haunted glance, the man whispered, just remember the auction. You have to be ready for what's coming. And then he vanished into the shadows, leaving Tommy with an icy fear gripping his insides. The echoes of laughter and hope faded, replaced by an unsettling reality. What did that all mean? Who could he trust? With everything at stake, and his heart now tangled in uncertainty yet again, Tommy knew he was standing at the edge of a revelation that might shatter the fragile world they had built. What secrets lay hidden in the auction items, and how would they connect to his mother's fate? The festival, once a beacon of community joy, now loomed like a storm cloud gathering strength. Could he handle the truth waiting just around the corner? Tommy stood frozen in the dim light, the air thick with uncertainty and fear. Clara's hand lingered on his arm, her eyes wide with worry. He turned to her, searching for reassurance in the flicker of her expression. "What do we do now?" he whispered, his voice trembling. "We need to figure out what this auction is all about," she replied, her brow knitted. "If it has something to do with your mom, we can't ignore it. We can't run from this." With a deep breath, he nodded, feeling the weight of her words settle onto his shoulders. He was scared, but now he had a thread to follow. "The auction, it's happening soon, isn't it?" "I think so," Clara said, glancing toward the festival grounds, where the bright lights and joyful sounds felt impossibly far away. "We should try to find out more. Talk to people. Someone has to know something." As they made their way back through the carnival, Tommy's heart raced. It all felt surreal, like a story he read but never thought would unfold in real life. Clara maintained a steady pace beside him, but he could feel her tension. They were stepping into unknown territory, and every face in the crowd felt like a potential threat, judgment lurking behind friendly smiles. "Let us start with Mr. Ledger," Clara suggested as they approached the old barn where the festival's silent auction was being held. "He usually knows everyone and everything that happens here." Tommy swallowed hard. "Okay, but what do we even ask him?" "Just be honest," she replied, squeezing his hand. "We need to piece this together. If there's any chance your mom is involved, we need to expose whatever's hidden." They slipped inside, the smell of popcorn and cotton candy still lingering in the air, but now it felt suffocating. The barn was filled with donated items, each with a price tag affixed like a scorecard of their worth. Banners hung, promising a night of fun, yet looming like a giant clock ticking down to some reckoning. A few moments later, Mr. Ledger appeared, hair as wild as ever and eyes twinkling behind thick glasses. "Ah! My favorite young man and his brave companion." He greeted them, his voice booming. "What can I do for you two tonight?" Tommy fidgeted, taking a step forward. "Mr. Ledger, I need to know about the auction. And my mom. Is she involved in it?" The jovial atmosphere shifted, Mr. Ledger's expression becoming serious instantly. "Your mother?" he murmured. "Her name has come up in a few discussions, yes. She's connected to something important, something that might explain strange happenings around here." "What kind of strange happenings?" Clara pressed, stepping closer. He hesitated. "I can't say much, but it involves some very influential people. They don't take kindly to those who ask too many questions. You need to tread carefully." Tommy's heart sank. "I just want to help her. I need to find out where she is." "Then you better stay sharp and be cautious," Mr. Ledger advised, glancing around as though sensing someone lurking in the shadows. "There are paths you shouldn't walk. Not everyone at this festival has the same kind of heart." Just as Tommy opened his mouth to ask more, a loud crash echoed from outside. The barn fell quiet, and every eye shifted toward the door. "What was that?" Clara gasped, her grip tightening around Tommy's arm. "Stay here," Mr. Ledger urged, moving toward the exit with an authoritative stride. "Keep your heads down." Tommy felt his breath quicken as apprehension filled the air. "What's happening?" he whispered, his eyes darting between Clara and the darkened doorway. "I don't know," she replied, breathless. "I just hope whatever it is doesn't threaten the very people we're trying to protect." Just then, Tommy noticed a familiar figure slip into the shadowy night, a man he recognized from earlier, the one who had spoken of the auction and his mother. Something deep in Tommy's gut told him this wasn't over. Could finding the truth really lead him to her, or would it unravel everything he held dear? The tension in the barn felt tangible as Tommy clutched Clara's hand tightly, his heart racing against the unknown. The loud crash echoed again, a shattering sound that sent a ripple of fear through the crowd. Mr. Ledger paused at the exit, glancing back at them, his eyes wide with concern. "Everyone, stay calm. Just a moment," he shouted, asserting his authority. But uncertainty hung in the air like heavy fog. "Tommy," Clara whispered, her voice barely above a thread. "We have to see what that was." Without waiting for a response, she turned towards the door, tugging Tommy alongside her. The push of the crowd felt overwhelming, people shuffling and murmuring nervously. He could feel the urgency in her gait. Was he going to let fear control them? As they slipped outside, the night air hit Tommy like a cold wave. It was darker away from the lights of the barn, and he instinctively searched for the familiar face of the man he spotted earlier. His gut twisted with apprehension. This was more dangerous than he had anticipated. They walked cautiously, scanning the crowd that gathered around the source of the crash. A wooden stall lay overturned, pieces scattered like forgotten dreams. An object caught the flicker of distant lights, a shattered frame, its glass reflecting a warped version of the festival. "What happened?" Clara asked a nearby vendor who stood with wide eyes, clearly shaken. "I don't know," he gasped. "It just fell over. Sort of like it was pushed." He glanced nervously at the shadows around them. Tommy felt an icy shiver slide down his spine. "Pushed?" he repeated, the word tasting like dread on his tongue. "Yeah. There's a group of men over there," the vendor pointed, his hand shaking slightly. "They've been acting weird all night. Talking to each other about something secretive." Tommy's instincts kicked in, and he followed the vendor's gaze. 3 men stood apart from the crowd, their hushed tones carrying a weight that felt heavy in the air. One of them was the man he recognized, the one who had spoken about the auction. The man had a small, folded piece of paper in his hand, and even from a distance, Tommy could sense the danger radiating from them. "Clara," he said, urgency creeping into his voice. "Those men, they know something. They could be tied to your mom," she said, her eyes reflecting his determination. "We have to find out what." Tommy swallowed. "What if we're caught? Then we'll figure it out." "We have to try," Clara insisted, her eyes blazing with fire. Even amid the fear, there was strength in her spirit. As they moved closer, blending into the crowd, they kept their voices low. The men didn't seem aware of the eyes observing them, exchanging glances filled with tension. One of them leaned in closer, and Tommy strained to listen. "Tonight. Everything is set. No one should know what's about to happen." Tommy's pulse quickened. He exchanged a look with Clara. It was what they had feared. The auction was more than a simple fundraiser. Something sinister was brewing. "Should we confront them?" Clara asked, her voice shaky but resolute. "No, not yet." Tommy's mind raced. "We need more information first. We can't jump in without a plan." Just as he turned to suggest pulling back, he noticed movement from the corner of his eye. A flicker in the shadows. The rest of the crowd seemed oblivious as Clara nudged him, drawing him toward a nearby storage shed that stood partly hidden behind a booth. As they crouched in the dark, Tommy's heart raced with fear and adrenaline. "We're running out of time," he thought, struggling to catch his breath. The stakes were rising, and he couldn't shake the feeling something ominous was closing in. "Tommy!" Clara whispered urgently, pulling him closer. "We need to be ready. They might be planning something we can't ignore." With a surge of determination, he nodded, knowing their next move could determine everything. But in the back of his mind, a question nagged at him: just how deep did this rabbit hole go? What if they were not ready for what lay ahead? As Tommy and Clara crouched in the shadows, the carnival lights twinkling like distant stars, a weight of resolve settled in Tommy's chest. His mother needed him more than ever. With Clara at his side, they stealthily moved toward the gathering of men. "Stay close," Clara whispered, her breath warm against his ear. Tommy nodded, heart racing, adrenaline coursing through him like a live wire. They pressed against the beam of the storage shed, listening intently as the men spoke in low, urgent tones. Another voice emerged, deeper and more sinister. "If she finds out what we're doing, it'll all fall apart. We can't let that happen. The auction must go smoothly." Tommy's mind whirled. What auction? He thought. Was his mother involved with these men? The fear sinking in felt heavy, but it mixed with a fierce determination. Whatever they were planning, he needed to uncover it. As the men continued their hushed conversation, Tommy and Clara exchanged glances. "We need to find a way to gather evidence." Clara's whisper was urgent, fueled by the gravity of their discoveries. Suddenly, one of the men turned sharply, and Tommy's breath hitched. The man squinted into the shadows, but Tommy instinctively pressed back further. "It's now or never," he thought. They couldn't wait any longer. Just as Clara pulled him away for a better view, something unexpected happened. A sudden ruckus erupted from nearby, drawing the men's attention. Tommy and Clara seized the moment as the men turned their backs, slipping quietly around a corner of the shed to peek into the light of the carnival. It was another group of townsfolk, waving signs and gathering noise, announcing another fundraising idea for Tommy's mom. The energy shifted, merging into tumultuous waves of support like a festering cauldron of love. "Focus," Clara murmured, nodding toward the pack of men again, who finally concluded their conversation. They began dispersing, glancing back nervously at the merry chaos enveloping them. Tommy grasped Clara's arm, urgency coursing through him. "I have to talk to my community," he insisted with fresh energy. "Maybe they know more about this auction." Together, they slipped back toward their friends, the heart of their town that stood as a beacon of hope. The carnival was alive with laughter. Balloons danced in the wind, children cheered while friends rallied around booths, sharing food and stories, filling the air with joy. But the threat loomed. Tommy took a deep breath, gathering his courage, and marched toward the center of the gathering, where everyone was buzzing with ideas. "Everyone!" Tommy's voice rang clear above the crowd, drawing attention like a lighthouse cutting through fog. Clara stood beside him, arms crossed but radiating strength. "I need to talk to you all about something important." The crowd quieted, and Tommy felt butterflies in his stomach. He thought of his mother, of how she had fought tirelessly for them all. Memories flooded his mind, her laughter, her warmth, her unwavering strength. "There's an auction happening soon. I believe my mom is tied to it, and it's not just about raising funds. There's something more sinister at play." The weight of his words hung thick in the air, concern rippled through the crowd. Faces turned pale. Whispers began to swirl like an unexpected wind, but as the murmurs flared into anxious thoughts, Mr. Ledger stepped forward, a wrinkle of worry crossing his brow. "It's true," he asserted, eyes narrowed with concern. "If there's a hidden agenda behind this auction, we need to stand together. We can't let anyone manipulate our community or Tommy's family." The power of unity ignited within the crowd. "We need to come together and protect what matters," Clara added, emboldened by the strength surrounding them. Tommy felt heat rise within his heart, the light of solidarity fueling him, pushing him to be the leader he needed to be. One by one, hands shot up, voices chimed in, pledging to help, to uncover the mystery behind the auction. "We'll investigate. We'll find who's behind this. We'll expose the truth." They rallied like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the hope enlightening the darkness threatening their bonds. Tommy's spirit soared. Perhaps they had the strength collectively to shine a bright light into the shadows. The pain of worrying for his mother transformed into a burning passion to fight back. As they formulated a plan, Tommy knew they had to dig deeper, to find the hidden truth before it reached a point of no return. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose, Tommy rallied his team. Their first task, gather resources and information on the auction, to uncover what was really happening. As the sun set, coloring the sky in rich hues of gold and crimson, the town banded together. Moments of laughter mingled with the weight of their mission, and with the scent of cherry pies wafting through the air, Tommy found solace in the warmth of a community determined to fight for each other. "I will save my mom," he whispered, conviction flaring in his core. He looked at Clara, who smiled, and felt his heart swell. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, with love on their side, and community standing strong. Tommy knew the fight was just beginning. There would be tears and triumphs ahead, but in that moment, he felt the fierce pulse of determination within him. He was not just a boy, he was a part of something bigger. Together, they would rise to the challenge whatever it might hold. Now, more than ever, unity was their strongest weapon against the shadows threatening to encroach upon their lives. And as the night deepened, one thought pulsed in Tommy's heart: they would overcome anything together. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exciting chapter in this incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support for Tommy and his story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, helping the community grow stronger. We want to hear from you, so comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can keep the spirit alive.